Dr. Elena Vasquez stared at the flickering screen in the underground bunker, her fingers trembling as she scrolled through what might be humanity's final digital testament. The electromagnetic pulse had wiped out most electronic systems 3 months ago, but this jury-rigged terminal, cobbled together from salvaged parts, had managed to connect to a fragment of the old internet. What she found there defied everything the invaders had calculated about human nature. The war had lasted exactly 17 days. The Kethari fleet had emerged from fold space with clinical precision, their ships casting shadows across every major city on Earth. No demands, no negotiations, just systematic annihilation of military installations, communication networks, and government centers. Their broadcasts, when they came, were simple: humanity is a plague. You will be cleansed. Elena had been in the deep space communication array when the attack began. As head xenolinguist for the SETI project, she'd ironically been one of the few humans actively hoping for first contact. The bunker's thick concrete walls and Faraday cage construction had protected their equipment from the initial EMP waves, but they'd watched helplessly as civilization crumbled on the surface. The Kethari had been thorough. They'd studied human history, analyzed the patterns of warfare, conquest, and collapse. They understood supply chains, infrastructure dependencies, social hierarchies. Their strategy was flawless: cripple the technology, eliminate the leaders, and let chaos finish the job. Humans would turn on each other, they calculated. Fear and desperation would do what their weapons couldn't reach in the deep shelters and remote hideouts. But they hadn't accounted for Reddit. Elena laughed, actually laughed, as she read the first post that had changed everything. It had been submitted to r/humans being brothers just hours after the initial attack, when most communication networks were already failing. Power's out, cell towers down, but I've got a ham radio and a generator. Setting up a mesh network in downtown Portland. If you're reading this, you're not alone. Coordinates 45.5152 degrees north, 122.6784 degrees west, bring batteries, bring hope. The post had received over 10,000 upvotes in the brief window before the local servers went dark. But more importantly, it had been screenshot, copied, and spread through every available means, from hand-cranked radios to message runners on bicycles. That single Reddit post had become the template for humanity's response. Elena scrolled through the archived posts her team had managed to recover. The pattern was unmistakable: where the Kethari expected panic and selfishness, they found coordination and compassion. The same platform that had once hosted arguments about pineapple on pizza and videos of cats had become humanity's neural network for survival. R/mesh networking had exploded with technical guides for maintaining communication without traditional infrastructure. Users shared everything from building crystal radios to creating distributed networks using car headlights and mirrors for long-distance optical communication. R/gardening and R/preppers had collaborated on posts about urban farming and food preservation. The legendary user U/Tomato Whisperer had uploaded a comprehensive guide to soil-free agriculture using materials scavenged from electronics stores and pharmacies. That single post, recopied and distributed by hand, had probably saved thousands from starvation. R/medical advice, despite its usual warnings about not replacing real doctors, had become a lifeline when hospitals were targeted. Retired physicians, veterinarians, even biology students had crowdsourced medical knowledge, creating treatment protocols that could be performed with minimal equipment. But it was the smaller subreddits that revealed humanity's true nature to Elena. R/randomax of pizza had somehow continued operating through ham radio networks, coordinating food distribution to survivors. R/Get Motivated had become a repository of encouragement and morale-boosting messages that were copied onto paper and posted in refugee camps. Most remarkably, R/Todaliern had transformed into a knowledge preservation project. Users raced to archive human knowledge, everything from Shakespeare to quantum physics, in formats that could survive societal collapse. The comment threads had become collaborative efforts to simplify complex concepts so they could be taught by anyone to anyone. Elena found the post that had made her cry. TL that the Cathari probably expected us to fight each other for resources. But here's the thing, we're humans. We make friends with wild animals. We feel bad for robots in movies. We put googly eyes on our Roombas and name them. Did they really think we'd give up on each other? The top comment had been, instructions unclear, accidentally created mutual aid network spanning 3 continents. The thread had devolved, or evolved, into detailed coordination of refugee movements, with users from different continents helping route survivors away from Cathari patrol zones. Someone had created a bot that converted GPS coordinates into poetic descriptions that could be transmitted over amateur radio without detection. Elena's throat tightened as she read the final posts in the archive. They came from the dark weeks when it seemed like the Cathari were winning, when their hunter-killer drones had adapted to target large gatherings of humans. r/HFY, humanity, F*****, had posted its last story on day 15 of the invasion. It wasn't fiction. We're down to maybe 1 million of us worldwide. But you know what? We're still here. We're still sharing memes in the bunkers. Still arguing about whether Die Hard is a Christmas movie on encrypted channels while alien death machines patrol overhead. U/memelord 2024 rickrolled an entire refugee camp yesterday through Morse code. If that's not peak humanity, I don't know what is. The post had concluded, they can vaporize our cities, crash our markets, kill our leaders. But they can't kill the fact that somewhere, right now, a human is probably explaining something unnecessarily complicated to their pet. They can't stop us from caring about strangers. They can't debug the beautiful glitch in our code that makes us save baby animals and elderly humans who contribute nothing to survival odds. They tried to calculate us, but they forgot we're the species that looked at wolves and thought, I bet I can make that friendly. Elena wiped her eyes and looked at her companions in the bunker. Dr. Chen was maintaining their radio link to survivor networks. Martinez was growing tomatoes under LED lights powered by their reactor. Patel was teaching a group of rescued children to read using tablet computers loaded with thousands of archived Reddit posts. Above them, the war was ending. Not because humanity had built better weapons, but because the Cathari had made a critical error in their calculations. They'd assumed that advanced intelligence meant abandoning cooperation, that technological species inevitably became selfish and fragmented. They hadn't predicted the distributed resilience of a species that had spent decades practicing cooperation through upvotes, collaborative editing, and arguing with strangers until they became friends. They couldn't model the strategic implications of a civilization that had trained itself to share knowledge freely and organize spontaneously around shared interests. The Cathari fleet began withdrawing on day 18. Their intercepted communications, when decoded, revealed a simple truth: they couldn't maintain occupation of a planet where the population refused to stay conquered. Every destroyed safe house was replaced by 3 new ones. Every eliminated leader was succeeded by a dozen volunteers. Every broken communication network was bypassed by increasingly creative alternatives. Elena's terminal chimed with a new message on the emergency frequency. It was a post to r/uplifting news from someone in the ruins of Sydney. The ships are leaving. I repeat, the alien ships are leaving. We did it, you beautiful, stubborn, meme-loving bastards. We actually did it. The replies came flooding in from survivors around the globe. Instructions clear: successfully weaponized human stubbornness. Update: aliens have rage quit Earth. Humanity still undefeated in shitposting competitions. Achievement unlocked: annoyed invaders into leaving through power of friendship and spite. Elena smiled and began typing her own response, thin. Thinking about the long work of rebuilding ahead. But as she looked around at her makeshift family in the bunker, people who'd been strangers before the war but had learned to trust each other through the simple human magic of shared memes and mutual support, she knew they'd be fine. After all, they were humans. They'd figure it out together, one Reddit post at a time.